Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Tuesday to you and your family. We're taking a look here at Ethereum once more, of course, taking a quick peek at what may happen next. And the whole point of this is just to kind of help understand best practice and big picture, because I love teaching people how to trade and become better traders. That's why I created a trading community, academy, and signal group where we can all learn and grow together. So amazing experience. Check that out in your own time. CryptoCache.tech is a site if you want to become a better trader and or just a community member to effectively benefit from not only the signals that I send, because it gives you a good structure of trades, but I believe the Trading Academy have heard very good positive feedback. Thank you, by the way, for that from my community members. So again, just teaching you everything that I know more specifically in those videos. So that being said, taking a look here at Ethereum, what we want to do is look at, well, first of all, big picture, of course, so we understand kind of where we're at. Now, we're below some key level previous supports that are now resistances. So keep in mind 1700, I'm going to use approximate numbers here, 1700 as well as 1400 are two key level resistances now. So if the price were to come back up and try to recover, just know we're going to face some trouble when we get there. Okay, and the reason why is because those were previous resistance levels and or support levels, and they're reaffirming themselves as resistance now that the price is below. That's generally the concept and how that works. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at there for Ethereum. So just keep in mind, Ethereum has a lot more room to travel down than it does up from here, based on the simple sentiment that even if we see a minor correction from Bitcoin, we are experiencing an approximate 2 to 3x from Ethereum. In other words, a 2% correction from Bitcoin could be a 4 to 6% from Ethereum. So that's just something to be mindful of and understand that I don't think the bottom is in from Ethereum, even though Bitcoin isn't in either, in my personal opinion. We're closer to that bottom. So in that sense, in that same sentiment, we could say roughly 936 would be the approximate bottom for Ethereum based on Fibonacci retracement levels, but there's definitely no guarantee on that. All right. Just know we could see a lot more selling off because this is technically an altcoin. All right. No matter how you look at it, it is not Bitcoin, and it has to have a larger potential for error. In other words, most altcoins correct themselves. Just say Bitcoin corrects itself by 85%. Most altcoins are 95%. They're a lot more extreme in that sense. We need to recognize that regardless of how good and diverse and amazing this ecosystem is, we need to understand that it'll still continue to go lower as a possibility, okay, or probability at this point. It's just a matter of how low. Again, 936 is a tentative bottom, but we don't know for sure. All right, so moving forward here, what we want to look at is a few key indicators. We're below 30 on the RSI. Anytime you're below 30 or above 70, you can essentially expect the price action to recover. Now again, there's no guarantees here because we've seen it do this before, and it stayed underneath 30 on the RSI for a full week. I would expect that we probably are not going to be back up above 30 on the RSI for at least a week or two. And the main reason why is because it came down so fast, so hard, that it takes a little while to recover. Okay. Again, the harder you fall, the harder it is to get back up. That's generally the concept here. And Ethereum fell pretty darn hard. And just to give you perspective, roughly 7 days ago, we were 36% higher. All right. So, Bitcoin was 32% higher 5 days ago. So again, we definitely had a lot of bleeding recently, but the likelihood of further downside in the immediate future is fairly low. I think we might see a recovery this week. And when I say recovery, at best, that we might come up to test 1400. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so just keep that in mind. So a long position from Ethereum wouldn't be terrible. It's just be very careful and take small position sizes. Because again, there's no guarantees on this. So just something to be mindful of. Looking at the 4 hour here, we can go ahead and see, of course, we're trying to retest 30 on the RSI, hasn't broken back up above. That tells me that we might be facing somewhat of a resistance level. If we look on smaller time frames, we're probably making higher lows but lower highs. And that really just implies that we're wedging ourselves into a pattern. And oftentimes when you go into a wedge coming from a downside, or coming from the upside rather, to the downside, the likelihood of that breaking to the downside is higher. So please understand, further breakdown from here could possibly occur depending on how Bitcoin performs. And today with the Fed meeting and tomorrow with the Fed meeting, basically they say the 14th/15th, we're going to experience some volatility in the relative near future. So we opened a long position, honestly, for Bitcoin with tight profit targets to ensure we get some, take some profits, of course. But generally speaking, I would anticipate the price to be slightly volatile over the next couple of days based on that sentiment. We can also see the MACD is trying to converge. This is no guarantee, of course, but this definitely helps us understand that the bears are losing control and that we're on the right side we're getting to the right side of the tracks. I would say a break above 1250 would be excellent. A close above 1250 would be nice because we still have yet to do that in the last 24 hours. Okay, so that's been a strong resistance level, 1250. So I'll just go ahead and mark that guy here, right at 1250, and we'll pay attention to that level later. Looking at the 1 hour, we can kind of see here, of course, again, there's that little resistance shelf. Price is unwilling to pass above. Looking at the cloud, you can tell if you were to have a short position open, you'd want to have closed that by now. In other words, take your profits if you haven't already, because the likelihood of the price coming back up from here is greater than it is going down. Again, no guarantees, of course, but the cloud really is a good indication of letting us know that. Even though we are still underneath the cloud and not proposing you should take a position, I mean, you technically should in a small way, at least, again, small position, what I'm referring to there, because I think the likelihood of it retesting this level and breaking above is quite high. I don't see further downside in the immediate future unless the Fed meeting today and tomorrow goes awry. If we see some serious problems and there's some really bad stuff, then of course we'll probably see the price come down. But pending it's neutral or positive news, then we'll probably see the price continue higher, just based on the way that the overextension occurred here. What I mean by that, if you take a look at TD sequential here, we hit a 9 on TD sequential, got a reset, hit another 9, got another reset, and then hit a third 9. And then we went to extreme overtime here and even all the way back down to an 8. Okay, so we literally almost saw 5 9s in a row. Okay, usually when you see 2 9s in a row, it's going to turn itself around and recover. Obviously, it didn't happen. We saw a massive, massive destruction over the weekend. But right now, with us having that overexhaustive state, we're below 30 on the RSI on both the daily and the 4 hour. Those are pretty big indicators letting us know that we're overextended, and the likelihood of a strong push to the downside is pretty low because there's more buying pressure than selling pressure in the immediate future. In other words, right here, if you see all this volume, that increase in volume at this lower price point tells us a lot that we shouldn't experience a price point much lower than here because, again, there's just as much buying pressure as there is selling pressure. All right. So again, mostly positive stuff here in that sense as far as a potential for upside. How strong, how high will it go? That remains to be seen. We'll have to look at new Fibonacci retracement levels once we have more data. But for right now, based on where we're at, I would say 1400 is a best case scenario for the price action if it were to break 1250. 1250 to 1400. So if you're going to set some profit targets, once again, maybe 1290, 1340, 1390, just below those key level supports or resistances rather, giving you that confirmation that you're likely going to get filled if the price comes up and rejects at that level. All right, so just some friendly advice there. That's essentially what we do. That's how we structure our trades. I usually have 5 profit targets, a trailing stop loss that adjust at each moving target. So essentially as soon as your profit target number 2 is hit, your trailing stop loss adjusts to break even. That way, if it turns around on you, you've already taken your 60, 70, 80% profit and you're out of the trade, all good, easy peasy. So that's basically what we've been doing this entire time. You can do that in both directions, of course, with shorts and longs. We maximized our potential with some shorts here recently, some 100+% returns. But for now, we're looking at taking some long positions in the immediate future that have tight profit targets. Something to think about. All right, so again, that's roughly where we're at here for Ethereum. I wouldn't say dire straits. Yeah, it sucks if you are averaged out at a much higher price point, but dollar cost average if you can. Add some to your position right now. It's a great place to add and a good time to buy, okay? Because again, even though we do and should expect a lower price point, you can continue to lower your average down. As the price goes lower, the better off you're going to be. All right, that's just the bottom line. And again, once again, a year ago or even 6 months ago, whatever the case, we wanted a price point of 1700 or lower. Like we were like, oh my gosh, it's never going to come down this low again. I'll settle for 3,000. I'll settle for 4,000. So keep that in mind. There's a great likelihood Ethereum will be back on track within a couple of years. It probably you wouldn't and shouldn't expect it to happen immediately. But I do think we're going to see a momentous trend later in the year from Bitcoin, sometime closer to November. And at that point, I think the likelihood is very high that the price will go up from there, and very high. Once again, we'll see, of course. Time will tell. But for now, we're looking pretty good here. So thank you so much for joining me here. I hope this made sense and I explained this correctly. If you have questions, comments, whatever, comment below. Make sure if you want to reach out to me directly, if you have questions on my Trading Academy or community, you use the contact information below, I'm never going to solicit you or direct message you. Okay, please know that I don't have a WhatsApp account. I'm not an idiot. So a lot of those, there's a lot of those out there though. So either way, that being said, thanks again for joining me. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.